Hello, everybody. Welcome to and welcome back to my channel, Book Time with Elvis, with me, Mark. And it's a Friday live. It feels like a really long time since we did one, but I guess it's only been a
2
week.
weeks.
We missed a
2
week,
weeks.
didn't we? So it
2
wasn't
weeks.
too bad. But I'm joined by a few of the usual suspects. Mr. Sean D. Standfast from his channel, Sean D. Steadfast. Uh, sorry, from his channel of the same name. We've got Jim from Mystery and Mayhem and
Howdy,
Greg
y'all.
from another bibliophile reads. So it's a veritable rogues gallery. I don't know. I wonder if the three of you have had I won't say better reading week than me, but maybe more productive in terms of finishing things. I only finished, I think, one book. We'll start off with you, Sean. We'll go around in this order. So, have you
I
finished anything?
one
Have you read?
book, the first book of the Book of the New Sun. What's the title of that one? The Shadow of the Torturer. And it's science fiction slash a bit of fantasy, and it fits in with adventure as well, because the main character is walking across country. He's sort of been exiled from his home as being a torturer, and he's going to set up a new life and his adventures along the way.
And is that science fiction or fantasy?
It's science fiction, but there are elements of fantasy to it as well, because it's set in a far, far future, like millions of years in the future.
Okay, cool. And you enjoyed it generally? Was that?
Yeah, I'd read it before. I read the first two books, and I'd hoped to actually have been done all four books, but I just finished with the first one, and I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with them at this point. But then I picked up part of my Patreon club is Orphans of Empire. It's what's the fate of London's foundlings from the Foundling Hospital, and I'll be done probably tomorrow. Like it's there's only about 50 or 60 pages left, despite it's a lot of endnotes and stuff like that.
And is that during the Victorian era, or is it from the beginning of foundling hospitals to the end of the founding hospitals? Or
Well, it's from the beginning, so it's mid 1700s on up, and
Okay.
she looks at the records and everything. And there's a few things that I knew and a lot that I didn't know, but I find the author a bit frustrating because she um, she basically thinks that the reader is absolutely stupid and knows nothing whatsoever, and doesn't realize that things have changed in 250 years, and always has to point it out that things have changed.
Yeah.
So there's a huge part of it that's a bit redundant.
Yeah. So you would recommend it thus far, or you think she's just too patronizing?
No, it's good. It's good because it's it's like it gives a different view of what's sort of happened, like of the British Empire as well, and how that I guess the idea is that the children and the orphans were going to be part of trying to prop up the economy,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
and by basically it's basically slavery, because they pay somebody to take care to be an apprentice for like 7 years.
Yeah.
So, and uh, a lot of them didn't work out, so it didn't work out the way it was, and vast amounts of money that were pumped into this thing by either the public and government coffers as well, like
Mm.
huge amounts of money. And the organization was just like, I was amazed at how much organization there was for this, but whether it was useful in the end or not, on any terms, it's hard to tell. But I love the part where they would have the incoming days where women would bring their babies, and they would take, I think, up to 2 years old or something like that. But they
Uh-huh.
would, and usually it would be an emotional thing separating from their parents. So the rich people would pay to go, oh, let's go watch this. It's like, it's like going to the insane asylums and watch the loonies, doing whatever at the time, using their language. And it's like, But then I started thinking, well, nothing's changed today. You look at the news, anytime that, they focus in on, a parent or parents being very distraught if something happened with their children. And that gets huge ratings. They get huge ratings for that. And they focus in on that and they do the same thing. So nothing's changed in 250 years.
They used to charge admission at Bedlam Hospital in London. They charged admission for people to come in and look at all the crazy people.
Yeah, and that's what they were doing here too, to watch the admission days, to watch what was happening.
Yeah.
Well, now we don't even have to pay, do we? We just turn on the news and watch our politicians.
Yeah.
Oh man, the American politicians are embarrassing me. It's just like,
yeah, the Canadian ones are no different.
I don't hear much about the Canadian politicians, so
yeah.
Yeah, British, Czech, it's all the same, I think, pretty much wherever you go. Well, before we move on to Jim, let's have a look at some comments. Some people are here. Aaron's here. Hello.
Hey, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
Won't say hello to Jenny because she's just saying hi to Aaron.
Hey,
Aaron's
Jenny.
Hi to Jenny. Oh, now hello, boys. There we go. Hi, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
Sorry, I missed your live. I did watch it back, or most of it anyway.
I watched a good 45 minutes of that.
Yeah, I jumped on. It was good.
So maybe we should have got her on here. She might have a taste for it now.
Has she, Jenny? Have you started your? Have you done a video yet on your channel?
Yeah, that's right. You said you'd do it if you got to, what was it, 100 subs? So
Because I subscribed to her.
I did too.
Andrew's here again. Our faithful Andrew. Hi there.
Andrew.
Good to see you.
Andrew.
Jim's also here, tuning in from Georgia.
Hey,
Greetings
Jim.
to the rogues in the gallery.
Huh.
Jess is here. Hi there.
Hi, Jess.
Again, Jenny saying hi to Jess. Aaron, or like watching reality TV, I guess he's referring to watching weirdos. Yeah, that's probably.
And now you're paying for Prime, and they're giving you commercials now, which pisses me right off.
Yeah.
I'm so tempted to just cancel my subscription.
To what?
Like I pay for Prime and streaming, so I don't get commercials, and now they're putting commercials in everything. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, you don't get without, but you have to pay extra.
Yeah, well, I'm still paying money for it. Why am I having to sit through commercials?
Well, that's what they should have done. Was they should have said, okay, what this is, we'll give you for half price if we can put in some commercials.
It's like checking myself out at the grocery store. If I have to check myself out, discount the items I'm buying because I'm doing your work. Yeah, that's my rant. It's my rant. Man, oh man, every time. And then when you go up to the cashier, they say, "Oh well, no, you're going to have to go over and self checkout." What a world now.
Sometimes this live does remind me a little bit of that old TV show. I don't know if it was on BBC or Channel 4, but it's I don't know. It's probably not that old. Maybe 15 years ago, called Grumpy Old Men. Where they would get just these minor celebrities to discuss all the stuff that annoys them about living in the world today. So let's go for UK.
Tell young people that they'll never believe you.
That's right. UK politicians are saying yes. Hamster, hello, gentlemen. Enjoy your live streams. Well, thank you very much,
Hamster.
Jenny finally managed to link Sean's to my channel. Heidi recommends doing a short.
Yeah, I've been neglecting doing shorts, but yeah, they're good because people see them. I think more. They pop
Sometimes.
Up. Yeah.
Sometimes, not all the time.
So it's really weird. I used to do shorts like my cats, and some of them had thousands of views, and then others only had like 200.
Really?
And I'm going like, okay, it's a cat. Why are you not? I mean,
cat videos are huge. Apparently,
they are, and I don't know why.
I don't know.
I have no idea why Bella the cat gets more views than Pip the cat.
Really? I'd be curious as to why that is.
It's probably just something to do with when you uploaded it, what was
Uploaded
tagged
it,
in
or
you know, it's all the mysteries of the algorithm or whatever they say, right? So
maybe it likes Bella as a name because Bella is beautiful, and they say, "Oh, who
so
knows?"
you got loads of Italians tuning in expecting to see a beautiful woman or something, and turns out to be a cat. So
Could be.
So
Tim's reading room, hi all. Bad
Tim?
saying last 10 pages in the book of Geek Love and Greg. Wow. Greek Love and Greg? Or
Geek
Geek Love and Greg.
love.
Wow, Miranda being conceived in that way. What the fudge? Mm.
Has any of you read Geek Love other than?
No.
Never heard of it.
No. I've heard about Greek Love though. Where am I? I'm lost now. We done Tim yet?
Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew hasn't watched television since 2016. Haven't
Yeah.
missed. Oh,
I had a year or two years back when I didn't watch any TV and I didn't miss it at all.
Yeah, I don't watch TV, but I will watch like on Prime or streaming or something like that occasionally. But
Well, which I consider that TV though too, because we don't have cable. So when I say I watch TV, we're watching Netflix or Prime or
Jim, we don't have cable either. When we bought the house, we were told that free basic cable comes with our HOA.
Mhm.
And so we hooked it up. And then the HOA contract lapsed.
what is HOA?
Homeowners Association.
Oh, okay.
They run our lodge and mow our lawns and
yeah.
so forth.
So
We never renewed it. It's like, we're not going to pay $15 for something we watch maybe once every 2 months. You know,
it's all garbage anyway.
yeah.
here with the TV license, like if you watch live TV, regardless of where you watch it, on your phone or your computer, you need a TV license. But if you don't watch live TV, then you don't have to pay it.
In the UK.
Yeah.
Now,
Despite when people say that, if you still watch this and that, no. If you don't watch live television, you don't have to pay TV license.
Well, you can't watch like iPlayer though.
No, iPlayer, yeah, the BBC iPlayer. They used to be exempt from it, but now you've got to pay it because it's BBC. But you could watch ITV iPlayer or whatever it's called, catch up, and that's fine.
So, Sean,
Yeah.
when you talk about a TV license, it reminds me of a Monty Python skit. Eric the Half a Bee, when I first learned about that, I guess they had TV detector vans going around.
Well, I remember that one. Yeah.
And then he had a cat detector van. I don't know.
Those guys were brilliant. Monty Python.
Well, yeah. Now I think as of June, that reminds me, there is something you need to have. Your pet a cat, or is it all pets? I'm not sure if it's just cats that you need to have them chipped. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. You have huge fines.
Well, they do that here too.
Chipped or neutered or spayed? Is that?
I think it's a good idea though, frankly. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, here dogs definitely have to be. The law stands on they have to be chipped. Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean,
well, cats don't have to be here, but definitely dogs do here in Canada. They recommend it anyway. I'm pretty sure they're adamant that you got to chip your dog.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. When I lived in Washington State, it's one of the few states that wanted cat licenses. Like you have a dog license, and it was, it was like $20 to register your cat for a year. But if it was an unspayed or unneutered cat, it was $150. So I went in. I was going to pay my, $20. I brought the vet records showing the cat had been spayed or neutered. And she goes, "Oh, it's not listed here on the procedures you've done." And I go, "Well, look at the sex. It says neutered." "Oh, no, that's not good enough." we have to have the procedure in your records. And I said, this cat was surrendered to us. We don't have a record. And she said, well, then it's not spayed or neutered, is it?
That sounds like a British Council person that works for the British Council here. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like they're ex British Council workers.
Well, I mean, if it was a male cat, it would be easy to tell, wouldn't it? Really, so.
It would, but I don't know. I just think they wanted $150 instead. Instead of 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to pay a license for Elvis. I have to pay 1,000 crowns per year, which is around £30, which obviously isn't that bad. But what is weird is how the price varies according to like where you live and the type of accommodation you live in, and whether or not you have a family. So like I have to pay the most, even though as a single person you should get like a discount because your dog is your company, right? And if you live in a house, you pay less. Whereas if you live in a flat, you have to pay more. So
it's like car insurance. I lived like 10 minutes from here, and my insurance was reasonable. When I moved up here on the mountain, and they doubled my insurance rates.
Yeah, but that's because you live 30 seconds away from a slum.
Apparently. It wasn't there then, though.
All right, okay. Right, let's go through the comments because there's quite a few. So, Geek Love is by the Weird Poop book I ever read, and I love it. Jenny would get rid of Prime, but she likes the next day delivery.
Well, that's how they get you, Jenny. That's how they get you. That's why I haven't canceled it yet, is because I like that Amazon Prime service, next day delivery. But I'm still considering it, man. Honestly, how much do I need that? How connected I am to that next day?
Well, the thing is, if you don't, then you actually get charged shipping charges.
Yeah.
And that would add up. I mean, I don't know how Amazon does it. I mean, they have some sort of algorithm that makes sure they make money, but my wife orders at least one thing from Amazon a week.
Yeah.
So,
well, here you don't pay. Like, if you don't have it, you still could get free shipping if you buy. I think it's books over £10, and if it's not books, it used to be over £20, but now it's gone up to over 25. So your total order, if you're ordering like a CD, DVD, and a book, it has to be over £25, and then you get free shipping. It'll just take. It only takes an extra day. Like it'll say 3 days, but it's always 2 days here in the UK anyway.
Yeah, here I have to use Amazon Germany, and it's around €30. Yeah, I have to spend over €30 to get it for free. What annoys me is they offer Prime, but they don't deliver on it like for people in the Czech Republic. So they will if I was in Germany or Austria. Instead, but it is much cheaper though, because I think it is just for the television. But it is very annoying every time it's telling me try Prime for 3 weeks or whatever. I'm like, well, no, because I don't get any benefit from it. I don't get any next day delivery or anything like that. So
yeah, I do that every so often. They allow it. Then I binge watch a bunch of stuff, and then the rest of the time I just watch the what do they call it? It's the one that's the freebie. That's what they call it, and it does have commercials in. But it's weird how the commercials work on that.
If it's a free service, I don't mind watching a commercial now and then. But I pay not to watch that,
Yeah, well, that's why I say that what they should have done was had a service. If they're going to put commercials in, just cut it in half.
Yeah,
we leave it the way it is, but you can pay half of it to watch it with some commercials.
And Prime does offer other things too, like Prime Music, and you can get some free ebooks now and then, and I think they have some kind of like a Dropbox or something like that, which I never utilize that stuff. I never use that stuff. So,
I have my family's Prime on the TV here that I could watch, but there's no point because since Brexit, there's like 6 programs I'm allowed to watch or something. It's ridiculous.
I just need a
VPN.
Maybe, VPN. Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried it with that before, but it never seems to function properly. It's like with the iPlayer.
a free V? Are you going free V?
No, I
VPN?
even paid.
Okay.
I even paid for one once, and it was a big name. I can't remember who it was, and it just didn't work. I was like,
See, I've never tried.
I had
I've
to get
never
the money
tried
back.
that.
So, you know,
I've used them for thinking that I'm in Japan and everywhere. They work. They always work for me.
yeah,
Huh.
but you're not using them to watch Prime or iPlayer, and I'm pretty sure they're a bit more in tune to it than, say, I don't know, illegal porn sites or book sites or whatever else you're using it for, right? So
Well, there was no need to use it for Prime because there's
that's
nothing.
it. That's what I'm saying. So I think they're more in tune to it or something. You know, I don't know. I know some people use it. There's something better that they have. I think is it a DNS something?
Yeah, you can change your DNS. I used to
Yeah,
do that before I used the Prime.
yeah.
Before I used the VPN.
So fur babies of all kinds are great. My fur baby's asleep next to me. Jenny's saying it's an interesting way to describe your partner. Jess
Well,
doesn't like.
am I a fur baby?
Just doesn't like HOAs. You can't do anything. The only benefit is the neighborhood is perfect for the area. Tim's reading room says I used to live in a gated community, but they nickel and dime you to death.
Oh, but is it worth it? Is it worth it? Maybe it's worth it.
Well, the one thing the HOA will do is, I mean, it is a pain in the rear, but like we have like at least lawn service with our HOA, and we have a lodge that we can go to. And while some people complain about some of their restrictions, like they limit the number of cars you can have parked out in front of your house, which seems very picky unless you've ever lived next to a house
Yeah.
that is just packed with cars.
I'm not a fan of rules like that though, too. But then you think of the alternative, you know, like my son lived in a building where they ran it like Nazis, honestly. But I mean, you know, the building was quiet, people were behaved, you know, I'd be okay with that.
I see a lot of shorts. There's one from the, I don't know if they're real or not, but it's like the guy gets a delivery on his porch from Amazon. He doesn't pick it up until he gets home, and they're complaining that he's leaving stuff on the porch, or
Oh.
that he's getting too many pizzas delivered.
That can get a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a bit annoying when you think that you own the house and everything. That is your land, it's your
Yeah.
house, and yet you're being kind of dictated to like that. I mean, we have some rules in the village I'm moving to, but nothing like that.
Our rights are just being,
better in the States that there's not more of these people being shot with all the guns around.
yeah.
It just
Our
gets-
rights are being taken like incrementally, just little bit by bit, and people just go along with it, you know.
It does make me laugh though, because like, you know, Americans tend to like eschew or, you know, come down on anything that seems like communistic,
Yeah.
like, you know, free healthcare, for example. And yet this kind of housing association thing is very, very much part of the communist system. Yeah. Not in terms of like that you would pay the thing, but you know, every building had a concierge, or they called them like that,
Right.
who basically monitored and watched everything that went on and ensured that all the rules were being followed and all these kind of things. So it's kind of amusing, really. But
Well,
anyway,
you know, Mark, the people who are most worried about, you know, the American communist threat are the ones that are really rural, and they don't have HOAs, and you can go out and drive in the rural areas, and their barns are falling down, and they've got all these broken down cars and their thing with it, but no one's telling them to move it, you know.
You know, if people were considerate, then this kind of stuff wouldn't, you know, people wouldn't have to step up and say, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. It should just be ingrained in a person. Well, you know, maybe I shouldn't be doing that because it's bothering my neighbor. But unfortunately, that kind of thing doesn't happen, you know, and then somebody's got to step in and let, like, you know, teach them what their parents should have taught them as they were growing up.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
kind of like
you'll have
kid.
somebody that is a neighbor that will be bothered by you using your front door or your back door. Like you get that kind of thing, and it's just It's just insane. It's like Mark said, it's your property. If you want to paint your house pink, go ahead, paint your house pink. It's not my house. If you try to paint my house pink, then there's a problem. But you want to paint your house pink, go to town.
Austin, Texas love their animals. They sometimes run areas where you get your pets free spayed or neutered vaccines. Jess loves Prime. I have positive feedback on Amazon. The fact it's fast, reliable makes life so much easier. Winterland is here. Hello to you.
Hello.
Jenny says, I've heard that some VPN companies are potentially putting a stop to allowing people to use it for streaming services instead of security. And lastly, we've caught up. Can you imagine being judged for how much takeout you eat? Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? Or your comings and goings. I knew someone here who, lived in a small place, and they, I don't know, maybe a bit of a night owl or something, and they'd only been there like a week, and one of their neighbors came up to them and said, "Oh, I saw your light on at 3:00 in the morning." It's like, and so.
Well, see, I live in an apartment, so it's almost like a microcosm of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like a few years back, we had to deal with a neighbor just beside us, and she'd be in and out constantly, and she'd slam her door. And so when she'd slam her door, the whole thing would just it would reverberate, throughout our apartment. So yeah, like you see all this little stuff, and you just want people to be considerate.
Yeah,
well,
that's the thing, and that's where it is disturbing someone. It's like, yeah, I lived in the shared house that the door was right below my bed. So you don't need to slam the door, but when you slam the door, it literally the windows rattle, and it's like, yeah, that is bothering other people. But going out at 3 a.m. and closing the door quietly, could care less. You're not bothering anybody.
We go out of our way to be considerate neighbors as much as we can, and I'm sure there's things we do that we don't think of that might bother other people. That we don't go out of our way to be bothersome. We try to be as considerate as we can, and that's just, that's all you expect from other people.
Well, I have upstairs neighbor when they have their grandkids over, running around, thump, thump, thump. I have next door neighbor here. He's always screaming at his wife, or his wife is always screaming at her. And then I have an ongoing battle with, I know who it is, one of my upstairs neighbors who kind of, they've taken it on themselves to kind of police the building, as it were. Yeah. And like, I get up, I'm usually the first one out of the building in the morning, right? Walking out. And there's usually junk mail in my post box, sticking out. And I grab it, like everybody else has got it as well. I grab it, and then I throw it in the bin as I go out for the walk on the street, because there's a bin right out there. Yeah. And I tell you, this person, I think, is thinking that I'm taking that junk mail and putting it in, because whoever does the junk mail doesn't seem to care that some of the boxes don't have names on it, right? So I think he's thinking that I'm taking it from mine and sticking it in one that doesn't have a name on it. Oh. Because then I come back from work and their junk mail's in my box again.
Really?
Or sometimes they even push it all the way in. So I open the box expecting my mail. There's the junk mail. And like the other day I just got really furious, and I just kind of like threw it on the floor, and then found it was pinned on the notice board. And then I thought, okay, I'll throw it in the bin. But it's so petty, and it's just so annoying because I'm not, I'm just because I'm the first person to remove it. They think that I'm, I've even tried leaving it there for like a day as well. Oh, boy. To see if it does anything. So it's pointless. Anyway, look, get because obviously we haven't got Greg for that long. So not necessarily Greg. I do not have an HOA, but our property and neighbors are well kept. Neighbors have everything is good. Okay. I think it all depends. Jenny, of course, they need to slam. Who else how else are you going to know when they come and go? Yeah. Right, Jim. Read. What have you read?
I've got nothing to say.
All right then, Greg.
That's it. That's all I've read. That's it.
I have you to blame for the first one I'll talk about, Mark.
Yeah.
It was an audiobook of To Their Scattered Bodies Go by Philip Jose Farmer.
Yes. No, indirectly, you have me to thank because I told Mark about that.
Okay. Well, it is a reread for me. And
I beg to differ there because I've been talking about it to Mark over a year ago.
Okay, all right.
So, Richard Francis Burton is just a great character in that book.
Yeah.
I actually haven't got there yet, so don't spoil it because I've saved it. I'm saving it for July. Yeah.
Oh, it's 70s, so I don't know if
Too late.
Rocket Summer fits any of the prompts, but
Too late. All right, I'll listen to it this weekend then. Fine.
it's good. It is a little bit of a far-fetched premise. You know, you just gotta say, okay. You know the basic premise, Mark?
Yeah.
So
I've had Jim tell me about it, and then last year Sean told me about it as well. So
the whole premise is that everyone who ever lived, basically from Neanderthals up, get resurrected all at once in the far future, and you wake up on a beach. And Richard Francis Burton has to figure out why everyone's being resurrected. Now, this is the first of a 4 or 5 part series, so I don't know the answer to that. But I definitely want to continue on with the rest of the series because the second book moves away from Richard Francis Burton and it's Mark Twain, as I'm on.
The Fabulous Riverboat.
Yeah.
What?
The Fabulous Riverboat.
So Mark Twain has got to be a fun character.
It's so good. I love that series. That's one of my favorite series of all time. I love Philip Jose Farmer's so good. And as soon as I read that first book, I actually went out to whatever bookstores were nearby and I grabbed all the books just to get the whole series. It was just like it fascinated me. It was so good, man. And
the book's called Gods of Riverworld, so that may but that's the title. That's not a spoiler. That's the title of the book.
Okay. So that was a lot of fun. I read a book for Classic Horror Mayhem. It was called To Walk the Night by William Sloane, written in the 30s. It's listed as cosmic horror, although it's not cosmic horror in the way you would think H.P. Lovecraft is cosmic horror. Although there's a little bit. I don't want to get too spoilery, but it's also sort of a murder mystery about essentially it's narrated by a man who has a good friend who got married very suddenly. And he dies under mysterious circumstances that they cannot explain. And his wife is just sort of he's dead. And then she marries his other best friend, really like a month after his first friend died. So it all follows that. So it's pretty good. Now, the thing is, if you've read horror books, you know exactly there was one paragraph, they mentioned this one little description. It said, this character did this, which means this is happening. And it fell into line. Absolutely.
I've got that book. I've never read it. I've got that book. I've got an old paperback version of that book.
I'm sure when it's first written in the 30s, the whole idea was brand new.
Yeah.
It's just not as new now.
The cover I have was kind of misleading. Like it looked like a murder mystery kind of thing. And then when I read the back, I realized it was kind of a sci-fi.
It's a mix. There is because there are definitely people there's police investigating the death, and circumstances come up where the police says, "Whoa, what do you think happened there?" It says, "I'm going to tell you a secret that we discovered that doesn't make sense," but as the reader, it made perfect sense to me because I knew exactly what was going on. Now, a person in 1935 probably did not know what was going on.
Yeah, because it was fresh. It was new.
It was fresh and new. Now, you're going to hold on 1 second for another book.
I might read that one, Greg. I might pull it off my shelf.
So, okay. YouTube, serves up other channels every now and then. And the week before, it started serving me up this woman who does book channels. She has more than 1 million subscribers. And her videos get hundreds of thousands of views. And her gimmick is getting people to recommend books that she would not normally read and reading them. And I thought, I'm going to give that a shot. So I said, well, why don't I buy a book from Costco that I would not normally buy and try to read it? So I bought it. I'm going to do a whole video on this, but I picked out this book. It's a fantasy. Now, first of all, this book is just absolute. I don't think you can see it. Wow. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Wow.
It has this end paper that's colored or painted. The inside flaps are just magnificently good. The type is good. The only problem is this book is so freaking boring. It's fantasy, and it's, I guess, would be considered new adult fantasy. Basically for the 20-somethings. Basically, all the main characters are 25. And it's based off Korean myths, sort of. But now I don't know a whole lot about Korean culture, Korean myths, but I did not get a Korean feeling of this. It's like, okay.
Who's the author?
It's Maya Corlin.
That doesn't sound very Korean.
She writes award-winning children's and young adult books under the name Meredith Ireland. But I couldn't finish it. I got the 200 pages out of 400. I go, just no. I am not the right candidate for young adult. New adults fantasy. So
yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my little video, recap of this, and then put in a little free library or offer it up on my channel saying anyone who wants this, send me a note and I'll mail it off to anyone in the United States.
I guess it's similar to what you did, Sean, wasn't it? With Will Sean Like It?
Yeah.
Trying to get people to recommend things. How did it work out? Did you like percentage-wise?
I would say most I liked for one reason or another, and I still got a couple to read yet that I haven't got around to.
Do you think some people were just overly kind? Because I know, like, sending you was the wager one of them, maybe, or this kind. Were like very much up your street anyway, though, weren't they? So.
Well, and one was the River of God. No.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah, that was like shooting fish in a barrel. But
yeah.
But the other one was, and I've got the third one, is the I always forget the guy's name. It's that City series or something. This guy's doing it's mafia type stuff, and I've got the third book that I want to read. And I didn't think I would like it, but I did like it. So yeah, so that worked out for me so far. But that's the thing, Greg, is have people. Not you pick it out, is having people suggest the book for you.
Well, the whole idea was to pick something from Costco because that's just a popular center of, books that are just going to be selling tons and tons of copies, which is not normally what I would pick out.
Well, I was I've done it recently, kind of as well, where I'm buying the free ebooks now, because I get one of those aggregator emails every day, and they usually have a free one at the end, and it usually looks really rubbish. But the other day there was one that looked quite good, so I got it. And then now every time I've got one, it comes up, I'm getting it because I'm thinking what they often do though is it's often the first book in a series.
Yep.
So to try and pull you in, but still, I think for me, that's definitely out of my comfort zone. So, whether I'll read them or not, but they're free.
As I said, it's an experiment. If this woman can have millions, now thing is, she's young, she's pretty, and she's smart. So I can't do anything about the young and pretty, but on a good day, I may be smart, but of course, then again, I think her husband has one of those channels that has like millions and millions and millions of subscribers, and millions of views per video. So,
see, I like that idea, Greg. But the thing is, I've got at my age, I got so many books, like older books, that are just awesome that I haven't read yet, and I think I'd just rather stick with them.
Well, you know something?
Like, a lot of the
I'm
current
not
stuff.
going to be doing this experiment again.
Yeah,
It was an experiment. I can say, lesson learned. You don't have to do it.
yeah. Thanks. I appreciate
Unless,
it.
of course, you're 25 years old and like fantasy. Maybe that person will dig this book.
I love fantasy, but that's not my kind of fantasy. You know, a lot of the.
Well, I mean,
current stuff-
Jenny's 25. Jenny's 25 years old and likes fantasy, so she might like it. So
She might. I would send it to Jenny, but she's in Scotland,
yeah.
and it would
It's a
cost
shame
more
'cause
to ship it than for her to buy it herself.
I don't know. She used to work for the post office, so she might have got a deal.
Well,
Or at a post office. I don't know whether.
but that's the Scottish post office. You'd have to go through
Yeah.
the U.S. post office to get
Yeah,
it.
that's true. That's true. Sorry, Jim. We did gloss over yours. I know you made a video about it, but
Yeah, no, I like I said, I haven't been doing much reading. I just did the Night Boat, and I've been
I had
reading.
to say I downloaded it after watching your video.
Oh, did you really?
I was
It
curious
fun.
because the premise kind of intrigued me.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a very pulpy fun. You know, I mean, it wasn't like I said, it wasn't great literature, but I enjoyed it. And Robert R. McCammon has a good way of describing things. You know,
He does.
so yeah,
I
got
used
a
to
lot
read
of
all his
books.
books for,
He's got a
for
lot of books,
number of
isn't he?
years.
yeah. I've only read a few of his, like not a lot. So I don't have a lot to go on. But obviously, like any writer, he gets better as the years. This was the second. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, this is the second story he ever wrote, but the third book that he published. This is his third book published. So, you know, take that as you will. And I've been reading some short stories from this. Like it's a Western novel, but it's like ghost stories. So I'm kind of mixing, like Sean's in the sci-fi state of mind. Rock of July. I'm in June on the Range state of mind. So I kind of mixed horror and Western with this book. You know,
I'm really looking forward to it, though. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
me
mean?
too.
I keep having
Yeah.
to stop myself from starting early.
yeah,
I have Little Big Man queued up on my Kindle.
I got to get that, Greg.
Are we starting, Greg, on the 1st of June?
Are we? I
Yeah?
can start. I can start pretty close to the. I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to start exactly June 1st, but close to it.
All right.
All right.
Just let me know. I find I often can either shoot ahead or fall behind in Buddy Read sometimes. So just let me know. I'm good to go whenever. Just
Okay. Well,
just send me the go and we'll go.
Well, here's the thing I found. The book like that, I think we'll just read at our own pace. Don't,
Yeah, but it's-
don't try to like say we need to read chapter 3 by Friday or whatever. You know?
I
Is it a
agree.
good
But I
book?
don't want to be. I don't want like you to be finished for 2 weeks before I've got to it. That's what I mean.
No. Let's aim to start on or about June 1st.
Okay, is it a big book or a little book?
No, I've got it. Hang on.
400 pages.
Have
It's a
you
little
guys?
big book. It's one of the little big. Never mind.
Nice
We have a
job.
big book.
Have you seen the movie? Have you watched the movie? Oh,
Not
that's
so bad.
I saw it on TV when I was in high school,
Yeah.
and it is a
Good book.
reread for me. I have read the book before, so it's a good one.
Okay. I'm gonna have to pick it up. There's no excuse. I should have had that one long before now. That one. I picked up the 2 Josie Wales books in one volume.
Oh,
by
that'd be good.
Forrest Carter. Yeah. I was lucky enough to find them the other day.
Well, I'm
And
pissed
then
off.
volume.
I can't find the next 2 Sackett books that I want to read. I still can't find them. So
Which ones do you need there?
I need. Well, I have them. It's what is it? Bend in the River, I think it is, and
Oh.
Daybreakers, which was the first.
They're on your shelf, but you can't find them. at
Yeah, I
home.
have them, but I don't know where they are. They're still packed away somewhere.
Yeah.
422, Jim. 422
Okay.
pages.
Well, that's not bad. It's
Yeah.
no terror.
It's no terror.
It's no terror. Oh yeah.
He's a odd looking fella, isn't he?
He looks like Aleister Crowley.
A little bit, yeah. He's kind of almost got a Joe Pesci look about him as well.
Oh yeah.
Maybe, what's so funny about me? Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to that. I used to like the film when I was a kid, so Yes. So the only thing I finished reading was Erebus by Michael Palin, which was his non-fiction account following the history of the ship Erebus. So from its being built till its destruction, of course, and being found in Canada when 2015, 16, maybe something like that. Yeah, but it was great. You know, I guess it's no surprise that he's a good storyteller. So, you know, he wrote it very well. There's some other new things in there that I got to learn about. But it's the only thing I've finished. And in terms of what I'm reading, I'm still pretty much reading the same things as I was when we last did this live 2 weeks ago. So I'm doing the Book of Dirt, which is a summer read, which is a buddy read with Summer from Cozy Reading, Sterling Reads now rather. And it's a hard book, actually. Not hard as in the ability to read it, but the topic. It's based around the Holocaust, and it's one of these novels that turns into a kind of family history. So it's truth mixed with fiction. I guess you know how people. What do they call it? Do they call it auto fiction? No. What's the term I'm thinking of?
Autofiction is where it's that's the new big thing.
I guess it's something like that because he puts in photographs of the real people involved. But the thing is, like, it's very good. I mean, it comes about due to the death of his grandfather, who his grandparents were Jewish, and they were both survivors from the Holocaust. And it comes in with him finding some article, and he's thinking about his grandfather being this person who wasn't the person that he knew. And so he then sets out on this quest to kind of fill in the gaps. And some of the way he goes back to tell the story, and I suppose that's the fiction thing, because he doesn't really know. He's kind of piecing it together. And then the chapters are interspersed with his own hunt for information about his grandpa's time in Auschwitz and Birkenau and Terezin, these things. But so obviously, it's pretty hard with some of the things that go on in there, but also good. And if Jim's still here, he is still here because he's just left a comment. We are reading, although I haven't been very vocal about it, but we are reading Ali and Nino, which is a Azerbaijani/Georgian book, which is excellent, I have to say. Kind of a Dr. Zhivago, I guess. It was written probably in the 20s, maybe 30s, I can't remember. And it's about a Muslim man and an Orthodox Christian woman who fall in love, get married just on the cusp of the Russian Revolution, and you know how it kind of throws their world out. But that's I'm very much enjoying that. And then there are a few other things as well, but I won't go into. Oh, I'm Vincent van Gogh's letters I'm reading as well, with Faith from
cool.
Faith and Books, and Linda from Elder Reader, and Deirdre, but I don't know if she's got a channel. But yeah, that's also interesting too. But I could go on, but I won't. So there we have it.
That sounds interesting. Yeah.
It does seem a lot of people are geared up for June on the Range. What about you, Sean? Are you getting excited about it, or are you thinking more in the science fiction realm of July?
Well, I think for CIMAC Summer, CIMAC Summer, that's what it's going to be. But no, well, I can't find the stuff that I wanted to read, so it's deflated for me for June on the Range, because I can't find the 2 Sackett books. I can't find my the dime novel book that I was going to read more from, and the Steam Man of the Plains. So all I've got is basically some Zane Grey, which is fine, but so I'm going to add some other science fiction stuff. Scott Danielson and I are going to read 3 books that are sort of a pairing. We're pairing 3 books, and one is the Lest Darkness Falls. These are all rereads for me. The Oh, you got that?
Oh, cool! Wow.
Yeah, Greg recommended it when I asked everybody to recommend a book for Rocket Summer. That was the one Greg held up and recommended.
Yeah, and High Crusade and
Oh, that's a good
Ward
one.
Moore's Bring the Jubilee. So we're going to read those three.
High Crusade by Paul Anderson.
Yeah,
Yeah, good book.
yeah. They're all ones I've read before, and we were talking on, I think, one of our lives of Simac stuff, that we decided we're going to just read all three in June and just talk about them. They're short.
Nice.
I'm reading them in July, I guess. So,
Well, this is 1979, so
well, then I'm not.
Elsbreg is 1940.
Oh yeah, the fix of the originals, but it wasn't really. Yeah, see, that's the thing. It wasn't.
In 1939, it says.
It says
Yeah, but
1939.
that's the original stories. He rewrote it later, I think, but I don't know when he actually rewrote it. This edition is 1979.
Mine's from 1949 is the last copyright on mine.
Yeah, well, that's the last short story that was published. So it's a fix-up novel, and he changed quite a bit of it
Is
for
that-
the novelization. But I'm not sure when he actually did that.
Is that a digest, Greg, or is that what do you got? A hardcover?
I got a hardcover.
The book
Oh.
edition.
Now the thing, this is a book club edition, so
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. Still.
So what you're saying, Sean, is this may not be the most recent version.
No. It will be, but he wrote them as short stories, and it's a fix-up novel. So most of the time, when they put it into novel form, they change it. But I'm not sure actually when he did that.
I can tell you, because I still have it up from our last conversation about it. Novella version published in Unknown 1939, complete novel published in 1941, reprinted in 1949 by Galaxy and Prime Press. First British edition 1955. First paperback was published Pyramid Books in 63 and reprinted in 69. A later paperback edition was issued by Ballantine Books in 74. Then reprints in 75, 79, and 83.
So he might have had the final version in the late 40s or 50s then.
Yep.
But I don't know. Like I say, I wasn't sure of the history.
Yeah.
So it will fit then. It will fit then.
Yeah. So
It's like I was almost tempted to try to find for Bring the Jubilee as well. Not Bring the Jubilee. What's the medieval one that I mentioned?
High Crusade?
High Crusade, yeah. I was gonna find, and those were, I think, 1960s analogs, Astounding Analog, when he was changing the name, and I thought of looking at the originals of these as well, and just compare them. But anyway, sorry, go ahead. It's just an aside.
all right, well, let's go to a couple of comments because they again managed to fall behind here. Where are we? Andrew. I'm in the same boat as Jim. I have hundreds of books at home that I've yet to read. I guess that's referring to the why try something else. Jenny says you can never have too many books. Jess is asking Jenny if she's going to do buddy reads on her channel. Andrew says June is a busy month book-wise. June on the Range, Book Trek 2024, June in June. It's also the inaugural month of Summer of Sport as well, by the way, Andrew. So, we'll see how that goes.
That's the other thing that I'm pissed off at. I can't find the books that I wanted to read for that. So that might be just all shot down for me.
Yeah, I've been putting my TBR together.
You have June, July, and August for the Summer of Sport.
That's true. You might find it by August. So
yeah. If I could find, I so far haven't found it. So maybe near the end of June, I should have some help, and I might be able to find. I'm hoping I can find some stuff.
Well, I'm not going crazy, even though it's my event. I'm gonna literally read probably one book a month over those 3 months, maybe two. But I mean, not 2 a month, but maybe like 4 or 5 books over the 3 months. But generally, just aiming for the 3 because I think it's enough. But it still introduces some something different into BookTube.
Well, I had 3 books that I wanted to do, and I want one per
I
month.
think I only have like one sports book on my shelf, like The Natural by Bernard
That's
Malamud.
what I'm doing. The Natural.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, we are. I know Alan is doing it. I forgot there's someone else in our Natural group.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Did you want to join the Voxer group for the Nat?
Yeah, put me on. Put me on. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that Andrew mentioned Dune in June. Is Aaron Hook has started that, and I'm part of it, and Randy's part of it. Debs is part. So if anybody else wants to do that, it is on Voxer. Just let me know, and I can.
I just read Dune in September, so
Yeah, it's 2016ish, I think, when I last read it. So it's due for another.
I've read also Dune Messiah. I've been meaning to get the Children of Dune to reread that one, but as I remember, there's a couple of things in that book that really kind of put me off.
Oh, really? You remember what?
Have you read it yet? Have you read it, Jim?
I've read the first 3 years ago. Like,
okay. Well, you know, for people who are not there, one of Paul's children does something to himself, right?
God.
And there's a scene where he's like tossing spaceships later. And I'm going like, okay, you can't toss a spaceship.
That took place in one of the first 3 novels.
Yeah,
like the third one, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah,
but you know, I don't know anything about this fantasy stuff, right? Or science fiction, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But why do you have a problem with him tossing a spaceship, and not the fact that there's like this giant worm running around eating people? To me, if you have one ridiculous thing, then you could have a million ridiculous things. It doesn't matter. I don't see how one thing is more unrealistic than another.
It's science fiction fantasy. You got to suspend your disbelief. If you're going to suspend your disbelief over one thing, you kind of have to do it over everything.
Well, you know, see, I've done this whole suspension of disbelief thing before. And the way I kind of like to describe it is, think of an elevator. You have an old elevator in Paris that you can fit 3 people on to take you to the top floor. It's an elevator, take you to the top. You're not moving heavy equipment in that elevator. Or you can have an industrial elevator in a modern apartment that you can park a truck in and it'll take you right up. For my suspension of disbelief, I'm the old elevator. You can get some things up there, but you're not going to get that truck on that elevator.
You have to adhere to the rules that they kind of set for that world, I imagine, because
that works for those things that Greg doesn't like. It does work within the world that
I don't think that part. I don't think so. But I'll see again when I reread it if I can let it slide.
Well, one of these days I'll have to reread that series, but
I guess one of these days
one
we'll just
thing
have to read
it's
it.
gonna be difficult for me to stop reading. I think with the first one, what I'm going to have to, because July, August, and September are just super packed for me. So
yeah.
I've got them actually. I got them for 19 at the trilogy, at least for June.
Oh.
I got 99p Kindle book, all 3 of them together. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I do have quite a lot on. And I don't know. It's hard for me to move into these realms. We'll see. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, like, if you want to join with Scott and I with Less Darkness Fall,
I would be more inclined to join that than Dune. Yeah.
Bring the Jubilee and my brain is not working. The other
High Crusade.
High Crusade. You think?
I got a problem with those Preg de Camp. He's the guy who, you know, Robert E. Howard rewrote all Robert E. Howard stuff, and you know, I've got that little, you know.
I'm on the other side of the fence that I think they did a big service to it, because I don't like Robert E. Howard's original stuff. I actually I like the rewritten stuff better, because
there's fighting words
there.
You better tell Sean to fill his hands, the son of a bitch.
Yeah, fill your hands.
I know I'm on the other side of it, but I only found that out a couple years ago because I read Conan stuff when I was young, but I didn't know what I had read.
Okay,
and then I read the originals, and I don't like the originals.
Were you rereading, or were you reading the stuff that he'd rewritten of Robert E. Howard's, or his original stuff, original Conan? Like they rewrote some of Robert E. Howard's other stories into Conan stories.
Sure I read both. I'm sure I read both that him and Lynn Carter did, and then I remember liking it. So that's where a couple of years ago I bought the first Robert E. Howard one, and I read about half of it, and I just didn't like it. The guy can't write his way out of a wet paper bag, in my opinion. But
he was a natural writer, Sean.
It doesn't work for me.
You tried me.
But it doesn't. Well, what's the thing?
No, I'm joking, because I actually started reading Conan in the old days paperbacks with El Sprague de Camp and Lynn Carter, and I really did enjoy them. And I'm not one of these purists who totally dismiss them. You know, I can understand. Like, I love the pure Robert E. Howard stuff, and I love them for what they are. But I don't totally dismiss the El Sprague de Camp stuff either.
The problem that I have with the original one was, like, he's getting into something interesting, and then all of a sudden there's sword fighting again, and I'm going. Then they don't get to the interesting stuff, and the story's over.
Which one did you read?
All of them. All the ones I read. Like, I read half of the Cimmerian one, the Del Rey, new edition, the black ones. I read about half of those, and I just go, no, I don't like it, because the stuff that I like about the Conan, Robert E. Howard just touched on it, but he didn't do anything. He just mentions it and then goes on to sword fighting.
Well, it's interesting.
And that doesn't work for me.
Michael One's ears are burning.
Yeah, he wasn't, I love Conan, I love Robert E. Howard, but he's not necessarily my favorite character that Robert E. Howard did. I like Solomon Kane and the Alborak series, I think, more so almost, but don't get me wrong, I still love the Conan stories, but I don't get what you're talking about with Robert E. Howard and his stories, but he was a self-taught writer, man. He was isolated. He was in Texas. He basically taught himself to write, in kind of a vacuum. And he would just, for that fact alone, it just amazed me. No, he was a natural storyteller, man. Honestly,
it just doesn't.
I still read Robert E. Howard today, and he still, to me, is so much better than a lot of these, just vanilla, vacuous writing that goes on today. It just, they don't have.
I have no argument with that. I agree with that. It's just the thing that I say is that he there was some very interesting ideas, but he didn't develop it, and because they're short stories. I
wish he had the time to develop it. I often wonder where he would have went if he had not shot himself.
He died at 29 or 30 or something.
He was 30 years old. Shot himself in the head. And just what
I think about it, to do all of that before 30, though,
it's amazing.
That is impressive, though.
But the thing is, how come it's not valid for me to say that I don't like it, but it's valid for somebody else to say they don't like something else?
Oh no, it's totally
it doesn't work for me.
Exactly, it doesn't work for you. So that's
that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that nobody should read it. I'm just like, I just thought I'd say I'd present the other side.
Oh no, I'm just giving you a hard time. That's fine.
I read the first collection of the 3 volumes last September, and Conan really only knows how to fight his way out of a situation.
Yeah, that's it. That's
not true. That's a miss. He's actually very intelligent. Everybody thinks that he's just this dumb barbarian, but if you really read the stories, he's a very intelligent human being. He became king of Aquilonia in the later stories.
Oh, spoiler alert! Jesus,
that's in the first story, Mark.
It's the first story, yeah.
But he is called Conan the Barbarian, not Conan the Diplomat.
No, he was never called Conan the Barbarian.
That was a comic
book thing where they called it Conan the Barbarian. You
Well,
know,
actually, to be fair, for me, it was more of an Arnold Schwarzenegger thing. But yeah,
I hate him. I didn't like those movies either one. But Sean, no, I'm not. I'm just giving you a hard time. No, you're totally entitled to. It's not for everybody. Robert E. Howard's not for everybody.
Well, Sword and Sorcery isn't either, and that's the thing. Sword and Sorcery doesn't really work for me too much, but I do like Edgar Rice Burroughs and John Carter because there's more than
Love those.
Yeah, it's not just Sword and Sorcery, and there's a few others, but it's the same thing as fantasy. Fantasy does not work for me. There's certain things that don't work for me that well, but it just. But I just present the other side because all I hear is everybody praising Robert E. Howard, and I don't hear anybody saying
blasphemy.
Wait a minute, the aqueduct in the back row,
But maybe sometimes those are the kind of videos that you need to somehow respond to, like for a dialogue, not in a way like that's going to create any argument other than debate, let's say. Because you're right. I mean, it would be kind of refreshing if you have all these people going on about how wonderful Robert E. Howard is. It would be nice for people like me who don't know him that well, right? To actually see both sides of it, and then of course read it and make up my mind or whatever. But
the thing is that I find is that like the things that Jim and Michael may think are great about Conan are the things that I don't think are great. I think those are the bad things. And it's the same thing as the things that I think that are great about Simak as a writer. Other people, I'll name the person nameless, but the person, everything that they dislike, they dislike the stuff that I think that makes them great. So you're never going to have a middle ground.
I have a friend who tried to read Michael Moorcock and he just didn't get it. And I love Michael Moorcock. I love the whole everything about the Elric stories and the Dancers at the End of Time series. I love that. But he tried reading it. He just didn't get it. He said, this is like garbage. And I said, okay, you do you.
Yeah, well, I have to look at him again because, again, that's somebody that didn't work for me.
No,
work for me.
I love Michael.
I have mentioned this many times. I think the Harry Potter series is just rubbish.
Oh, me too. Derivative bullshit. Sorry. Yeah.
I read the first 4.5.
The thing I loved about Harry Potter, though, Greg, is it got kids into reading. They got my kids into reading.
Well, but the problem is now they're hooked on trash is what's good.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's I mean, I'm
having
sorry.
flashbacks to my video yesterday.
If it opens up their mind to other authors and other things, that's a good thing. But if all they're into now is the derivative Harry Potter stuff, and I don't know. I wasn't a fan.
And I read the Harry Potter series. I read all of them. I would never. I poo-pooed it at first, of course, because I was 23 or 24 when I read it, and I only did it for work because I was in Japan and I was teaching this girl, and she said, "Mark, I would really like to read the first Harry Potter book in English," and she gave it to me, and she said, "Would you mind reading it? So, we can go through it together." And I was like, oh, God, do I have to? And I left it for like weeks over there. And I thought, okay, I better pick it up. And I'm ashamed to say maybe it was just because I was like isolated in northern Japan, didn't have a huge amount of books around me. I'm ashamed to say I finished it. I put it down. I walked to the train station. I hopped on an hour's train north to the second biggest city in Hokkaido. And I bought at the time the other 4 or 5 books that were out by then.
Oh no!
Because I don't know. I mean, I see in this. I'm not a fan, like a huge super fan or anything, but they were fine. They had something that kept me reading. Maybe because I was still a youngster, really. I mean, I was kind of on that cusp of I wasn't. You were probably what, Jim? Like 45?
Yeah. Well, in my 30s maybe, because I remember my kids reading them, and that's why I ended up reading maybe the first 2 or 3. I can't remember, but yeah,
I wouldn't read them now. I wouldn't reread them. I have no interest in rereading them.
If people read them and they love them, that's fine too. Because my wife read the Twilight books, and I've never read them, but she saw something in those books that she really loved. You know,
I'm
and
sure we all have our dark secrets. You know,
she
we all
read
have
them at a time in her life when she almost needed those stories. You know what I mean? And stories are a powerful thing. And if you read Harry Potter at the right time in your life where you need those Harry Potter stories, I mean that's fantastic. And,
Well,
and I don't
I
begrudge
guess
that.
Sean hasn't reached the right time in his life where he needs a barbarian to.
yeah.
No, that's
Well,
fair.
but I think the right time and the right age for some things as well. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know what you fully thought. I can't remember now, Mark, of The Hobbit. I found we just read it. What is it? Just over a year ago? A year and a half ago, I guess.
It was not last Christmas because we should have done Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
It was
the
Christmas before.
Yeah, and it was like I kind of enjoyed it, but I figured if I was 8 years old, I would have probably really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't have noticed that the author was talking down to me all the time, like talking down to the reader, and that's the thing that I didn't like about it. But then I'll read some other kids' book that's like the Paddington Bear. I love that stuff. I love it, even as an adult, because the author's not talking down to me. I can get lost in that world, but I could not get lost.
Just show you really how the story is more important than anything for people, isn't it? I mean, because you're saying Robert E. Howard couldn't write his way out of a wet paper bag. I have a couple of issues with sometimes Louis L'Amour. However, there's no denying that the stories are wonderful. Like, they are great. And a great story sometimes can, of course, supersede mediocre writing.
Well, yeah, but the problem that I think is with, like, I have the same feeling with Louis L'Amour, but that's why I want it. But I want to continue reading. But because
I love it.
It's big enough. But his short stories, if he does the same thing as short stories, I may not like, and that's what Robert E. Howard, I think, was, because it was short story. If he was able to write a novel, then I could probably overlook the writing, the failings in the writing.
The problem with
he did write a novel. He did write Hour of the Dragon, but it was very episodic. It wasn't very cohesive because it was told in installments. And he cannibalized his other short stories to make Hour of the Dragon. It's still, really, really good. I love Hour of the Dragon, but it could have been a little bit more cohesive, I think, as a one story kind of thing.
Well, I think a lot of writers were like, were the opposite to some way. It's like Robert A. Heinlein. I don't think he was a very good novel writer, but I like his short stories. I think he was a very good short story writer. Same as K. Dick. I don't think he could write a novel very well. It's because it ran away from him. He didn't know how to. He basically took both of them. I look at it as they took a short story and padded it out to a novel rather than actually writing a novel.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of a problem. But there are
watered it down, like a watered down short story.
Yeah. That's because that's what. But I do like Robert A. Heinlein's Moon is a Irish Mistress. And again, I don't know who mentioned that they were going to read that.
Well, I was supposed to read it with David Wiley in May, and we never got around to it.
Because I want to reread that, and I thought that I couldn't remember who did it.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing with L'Amour, though, is that he's such a vast catalogue that you can forgive him sometimes, because I think the more you churn out, the chances are you're going to churn out a few duds. But I have to say, none of them have been duds for me in terms of actually enjoying the story, though.
Oh yeah.
Ones you can enjoy.
Well, with like the first Sackett book, for example, the first in the chronology, yes, it annoyed me, the lack of like the few historical mistakes and stuff, but it was still great fun. It was still a great book to read.
I imagine his West one set in the West, the American West, were probably more historically accurate than the 17th century European.
I think he was also getting on by the time when he did that first one, wasn't he?
I imagine.
Where does Jubal fit in? Jubal, Sackett for the
I could.
not the chronology, but when he wrote them, because
Oh,
that
one of
had
the
a lot
later,
of
one of the
mistakes
later ones.
later. Okay,
I
yeah.
have the Sackett companion in the other room. I could go check, but I think it was pretty much one of the last ones.
Yeah,
I do think
I've
we
got
should just
that as well.
not neglect our audience for a second.
Yeah, I was about to say we got some good comments coming.
Jim, your T-shirt.
Yeah, mine. Red Dead Redemption.
And that's a nice comment there from Hamster. Thank you so much. I started reading Hondo for June on the Range. Never read a Western before and enjoying it. Thanks for inspiring
That was a
me.
good one.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
I did that the first June on the Range.
Of
Yeah,
course,
that's-
you should read.
You're part of the group, Mark. You
Found
did that on Boxer.
Yeah. And did Scott did it with us, didn't he? Or-
Yes.
Yeah. And but I think it's also worth reading Gift of Cochise, though. I think,
Yeah. Which is
a
the short story
that the film was based on, and then Hondo is based off the film. Yeah, it's a bit.
Yeah. Lamour expanded his novel based on the film, which was based on his short story, and they're both good.
Yeah,
both good.
they are.
Yeah.
Jenny, no idea what I plan to do yet. Okay, that's between those two. To Jenny, right?
I'll put it back up. I can't see it.
No. They're talking to each other.
Yes, but it has to do with her channel.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Okay, no idea what I plan to do yet. Just start with a newbie tag and just what happens after that. Okay, can I move on?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jenny. I totally agree with your TBR comment. Just say next, Sean, when I can move on. Tim, I've got 2 Louis L'Amour novels for June on the Range: Showdown Trail and Riders of the Dawn.
Yeah.
I also have the Sea of Rust post-apocalyptic robot tale that might have a Western vibe. Okay, that sounds very interesting.
Okay.
Jess,
I've got this sci-fi Western, which I can read for Rocket Summer or June on the Range. Six Gun Planet by John Jakes.
when was it published, though?
Oh, 70s, I imagine.
Oh, then there you go.
1970. So that might work.
1970, okay?
That's the
Well,
last.
written in 1969, so you can sort of fake it, maybe.
Oh,
We like a chunky TBR. I like a chunky anything. Ali and Nino, yeah, published 1937. Okay, yeah. I'm really enjoying it, Jim. It's very, although I wasn't keen on, I've gone off Nino a bit, to be honest. I'm more in Camp Ali at the moment. Andrew says, after watching David Lynch movie, I bought all the original Dune novels secondhand in charity store. Still got to delve into them.
God. I read them before the original movie. That's how far back I read those books. Before
Yeah,
the original
I read.
movie.
I went to see the original one, and the David Lynch film, and I was going to walk out. The only thing that kept me from walking out was Francesca Annis. That was the only thing that kept me from walking out.
Oh,
Looks like. Sorry, did I say that? Sorry. I've only read the first one so far. Hopefully, the others soon. That's June again. Aaron, it looks like it's Handbags at Dawn with Sean and Jim,
yeah. We're going to throw down.
or Paperbacks at Dawn. As we said, fill your hand. I thought I did well with Gareth on that one.
What?
In the June on the Range group.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a great scene. That's such an iconic scene, Mark, in both films.
I watched it.
Well, the other one is too. You know who Ned Pepper is. He's got a scar. I shot him in the upper lip. Well, what was he aiming at? The lower lip.
Yeah.
I can't even decide which one I like better. I mean, I grew up watching the John Wayne one, and I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
It is good. It is really good. But I have to say, I don't know. The 2010 one edges it for me.
Yeah. Does it? Yeah.
Character
It does.
Maddie wasn't right, and the Texas Rain. Nah,
Which one, Sean? The second one?
The second one, yeah. Maddie.
Yeah. I have the book up here. I mean, I read the book, so
Well,
I love the audiobook of True Grit.
yeah.
Donna Tartt, she just magnificent narrator for that book.
Really.
I watched the film before I read the book.
Yeah.
2010. I must have seen the 67, was it 69
I think
with John Wayne
67. I
when
think.
I was
Wasn't
like a kid, but I didn't remember it. So the 2010 was fresher in my memory. I don't know. I do like it better. I don't know. I like I'm not a massive fan of what's his name,
John Wayne?
Matt Damon rather.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was great in it, and but Jeff Bridges is just great. He's so
Oh,
good.
yeah. There was good.
I don't
things.
deny that.
There were things that I liked about it more than the original one, but as a whole, yeah, I really liked the John Wayne one, and
Yeah.
I even liked the sequel, Rooster Cogburn.
Yeah, with Catherine.
I like.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who don't like John Wayne though because of his politics and what he did in the 50s with the HUAC committee and all that kind of stuff. But if you can set all that aside, I love John Wayne movies. I really do. And that one probably is my favorite. Like it's hard to decide which one I like better, but I think probably the original one. But I don't know.
So Sean and Jim, how are you going to settle your differences with swords or pistols, or I suppose with Simak gun laser rays, and then Jim with barbarian sword?
Since it was about Conan, it's going to have to be broadswords at dawn.
Yeah, well, the Simak doesn't have too many lasers in his stuff.
No, does he have any weapons then?
Occasionally, yeah.
What are they based off then?
Well, like in Way Station, it's a Civil War rifle.
Oh, okay.
That would fit in with June on the Range.
I don't think Jason Momoa was in True Grit.
Oh, he was Conan. He was in the second Conan the Barbarian movie.
They remade Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah. I didn't like either one.
Wait, you mean they remade it from the Arnold Schwarzenegger version?
Well, no, they didn't remake it. They did a new story, but they said they were going to do a completely new based more on Robert E. Howard, but then they tied it in with their Arnold Schwarzenegger movie in some ways, which I don't know. It was just weird, and I didn't like either one of them as Conan.
Didn't they redo John Carter as well? Wasn't he John Carter also?
Jason Momoa? No.
Okay, but didn't they redo?
Yeah, Disney did a John Carter film in 2008. I forget the year.
Yeah,
it didn't do well.
One, but there's a more recent one I thought too.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe not.
I have no idea.
No. There was some independent film that came out about the same time as a Disney one, which was just crap. But actually, oddly enough, it was probably more true to the stories than the Disney one. But it's too bad. They screwed up the marketing on that movie so badly, and that was so disappointing. John Carter, who inspired Star Wars and all kinds of things over the years, and they have the chance to make the movie finally that they've been trying to make for decades, and they screw it up.
Well, they always do, though. Generally, they really do quite often.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw today they're rebooting Highlander.
I heard that.
God.
I heard that. Which is fine because Highlander's it's not a book or anything, was it? It's just
isn't it? I don't know. It would be nice if it was. It would be a kind of series I think I could get into.
It was a movie and a TV series.
It was a TV series later, but
there were books. There were books. A few books that were written
novelizations
based on the movie or the show.
Yeah, but I think there were some original stories as well, and there might be some audio dramas I think that were done as well by Big Finish. That I'm not sure, but I know that there's a few novels that were written like as a series.
Well, I remember they had the first movie, and the first movie really ended without sequel potential.
Yeah.
And then they made a second, and I remember it was absolutely horrid.
Yeah.
I loved the first movie. I remember seeing that at the theater. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
But and the TV series was lukewarm.
Okay. The series was okay. The production values fell down, and then the last season just went up shit's creek.
Now, all I remember is they moved the production to France.
It was a France-Canadian production, so being a Canadian production, the production values weren't that good then.
Yeah, I'm just looking up. There were books, 8 books actually, published.
Before that, the movies were based on.
No, between 1999 and 2006
Yeah,
by the
they're,
looks
they're
of
from
it.
the series.
And then there's Highlander, the original novel of the classic motion picture,
Yeah, I think
which you can buy for $210 should you wish to.
Wow.
So,
I will not wish to.
No.
No, are you sure?
No.
Are you absolutely sure you don't want to do that? Yeah.
I think I passed that up several times in book sales.
Did you?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, still, sometimes I think there's no need to mess with films that were pretty good. I mean, the first Highlander film was really good. So
Yeah. There's nothing original in Hollywood anymore. Anyway.
Michael Moorcock is fantastic.
Yeah, love it.
Percy Jackson's way better than Harry Potter.
I've heard that, Jenny. I've never read Percy Jackson, but I've heard that.
You might start a fight with Aaron there because I think he likes Harry Potter. Behold the Man by Michael Moorcock is one of my faves, but I love Dances at the End of Time too.
I like Behold the Man as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the edition that I want.
Oh, well, it's a little beat up.
I've been looking for that. Can't find it. I had it in
Really?
high school, but now it's gone.
Great story. I love it.
Now, have you ever read the novella?
The Behold the Man?
Yeah, it was originally a novella, and he padded like an extra 30, 40 pages into it to make a novel.
I don't think I have, unless I have it in one of these books up here. But I don't think...
It's in one of the Science Fiction Hall of Fame books.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I couldn't
So
get
was that better, Greg? Sorry, was that better than the?
They're really the same. It's just not significantly different.
Okay.
I couldn't get further than the third Harry Potter. Harry just didn't seem to develop as a character. Aaron, I was the right age for them, enjoyed them. I reread them at the beginning of the pandemic and still enjoyed them, but I could see the flaws. Jenny, please don't diss The Hobbit. I love it. The time turn in Harry Potter just seemed ludicrous. See, again, Jim, I'm surprised you pick out one thing that's ludicrous in a book where, there's a lot of ludicrous things in it. But yeah, I guess I get it if I follow Greg's elevator analogy there. But
My issue with Harry Potter is it was very derivative of other novels. It's just, and I guess writers do that though. She just took, like speaking of Michael Moorcock, she took stuff from Michael Moorcock and put them into the Harry Potter books. And I said I'd rather read the originals that's where she got them from than read the Harry Potter
you
books.
put a lot of mythology in there as well. So
Yeah,
Well, I remember reading a small article one time about the Harry Potter books, and somebody at the early part of the 20th century, I think it was, wrote a series of books about a school and wizards, and it's basically almost everything that Harry Potter does.
wow.
And but it hasn't been reprinted or anything like that, and it's very, very small. I guess nobody knows about it, but she just basically copied. She clearly read that book and just copied everything from it.
Yeah,
And then
doesn't surprise me.
The views expressed just then are the views of Sean D. Standfast from his channel.
no, I'm expressing the
No,
view.
Sean,
It doesn't surprise me, Tom.
heard that.
Yeah,
And I don't know really at that point, it's lawyers talking to lawyers saying, "Did you plagiarize?" And I'm guessing Rowling's lawyers are bigger, better paid lawyers than the other one.
yeah.
But according to this article that I read, the whole story it's you read those stories, and you're reading Harry Potter with a bunch of other like her stuff. She throws in a bunch of other stuff from other writers. So
I'm breaking one of the 10 Commandments.
Has any? I mean, I don't even know what the old series. I mean, I presume they're out of print and unavailable and
Yeah.
hellishly expensive.
yeah, I don't know I can't remember what they were called, but it was I'm
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was all true, because if this guy, I think it was a guy that wrote this article, it would have it's probably disappeared.
When were they written?
Well,
I think the early part of the 20th century.
All right. Wow. So
well, more power to her then. I mean, if she can do that and she could, become what she's become and then created what she's created, I guess more power to her. She
but
made
then
it
you would
work.
argue if she's actually created it, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing,
Well,
eh? But
Yeah.
is there anything original anymore? Like whenever anybody writes anything, it's been done before, just in a different way.
Yeah, well, that's the
I
thing, in a
argue.
different way, and apparently this was not in a different way.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what the article was saying. I never read the original, and I never read Harry Potter, so I can't. All I'm doing is relating what I had read in this article.
Huh.
Hmm. Better move on, I suppose, because we haven't got Greg. Well, I suppose Greg, do you have to go, or are you?
I can stay for a bit more.
All right, we'll get this. We'll get the comments back.
Let's get some comments down.
I won't stay much longer, probably. Anyway, we've been going 90 minutes or so.
Yeah,
So,
we've been doing all right.
Bob the Bob for British kids fantasy written in the 90s. I think Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials were far better. He explored ideas and gave kids messy, difficult endings to contend with. Jenny says, messy. Book 2's major death still hurts me now. Damn, I wasn't even a month old when June went to the cinema. When was that then?
Oh God, I don't even remember now.
80 something.
Was it in the 80s? Yeah.
In the 80s, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I read the books before the movies, and yeah.
I read the original Dune trilogy back in 1981. I haven't read any Frank Herbert since. I haven't seen the movies either. John Carter, directed by Andrew Stanton, with Taylor Kitsch, Samantha Morton, and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. It was a good movie.
I remember buying, when it came out, God Emperor Dune. I remember buying that.
Mm-hmm. The Independent. So hang on, he actually wrote the first 3 books though, right? Because the others.
Right. He wrote the first 3: God Emperor, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune.
Yeah.
And then his son took over with another author, and apparently they're just dreadful.
I heard that.
The independent film of John Carter was one of Asylum Films' mockbusters, which they produced to ride on the coattails of blockbuster science fiction films.
Deja Thoris was some blonde ex-porn star, I think, if that's the one we're talking about. I got a.
Wait a second. There's a movie with an ex-porn star.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot better than the other one.
Again, those are the views of another Bibliophile Reads. So. Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin.
No, that's not it. No.
Wizard.
It's
That's a good series, Wizard of Earthsea. Ursula K. Le Guin's awesome.
in other books, but yeah.
Let's take a look on the internet, see if we can find this.
I was looking. There was one called The Treasure Seekers.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is. So the thing is that like Greg says, I bet there's been a lot of suppression of that because there's big money behind. If it became common knowledge,
they might have got paid off. Like maybe Rowling paid them off.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. I'll give you. It has acknowledged influences at least. British folklore and mythology, the Iliad, the Bible, Aeschylus and William Penn, the Pardoner's Tale, Macbeth, Emma, Story of the Treasure Seekers, Wind in the Willows, Dorothy L. Sayers, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Little White Horse, Sword in the Stone by T.H. White, Manx Mouse. That says anything there. Magic and Reality to the Point. No. Jessica Mitford. No. That seems about it, possibly.
Yeah, because like all those are bits and pieces, but according to this, it's basically the whole story. It's the whole story. But again, and if that became known, like it's probably they could have bought the rights to it and just completely squashed it.
Yeah,
that's been done before.
That happens all the time. Yep.
Jenny's saying, I guess, that David Lynch came out in 1984, 14th of December. I don't know if I saw it on the first day, but I would have saw it.
I would have been. I just turned 20.
84. That was yes. I was a freshman in university.
Really? I was probably at Sheridan College. maybe?
Here we go. Maybe this is it for you. The Crestomancy series. In Diana Wynne Jones's charmed life, 2 orphan children receive magical education while living in a castle. The setting is a world resembling early 1900s Britain, where magic is commonplace. Wynne Jones has been publishing for more than 30 years, and young readers notice parallels between her books and Rowling's creations. The 1982 book Witch Week, part of Wynne Jones' celebrated Crestomancy series, features an owlish young hero at a boarding school for children who have suffered from society's persecution of witches. Diane Wynne Jones has stated in answer to the question on her webpage, I think Miss Rowling did get quite a few of her ideas from my books, though I've never met her, so I've never been able to ask her. My books were written many years before Harry Potter books. Charmed Life was first published in 1977, so any similarities probably come from what she herself read as a child. It's a very nice way of putting it, isn't it? Once a book is published out in the world, it is sort of common property for people to take ideas from and use, and I think this is what's happened to my books. So that sounds like it could be. I mean, that's very close. Boarding school for kids.
Well, who's the author? Diane what?
Diane Wynne Jones.
Wynne?
Yeah.
WYNN, probably.
WYNNE. She's the one who wrote Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, I don't know.
Very famous. It became a famous film, animation film by Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the author.
Never heard of her before.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, she's
Yeah,
quite
I don't remember if that's. I for some reason thought this was early 20th century.
Yeah, but it's set early. It's set in 1900.
That could be. Yeah, that could be what's screwing up in my brain. Yeah, that could very well be.
Yeah. But then there's another one here. In 1991, the author Jane Yolen released a book called Wizard's Hall. The main protagonist, Henry, is a young boy who joins a magical school for young wizards. At the school, he must fulfill an ancient prophecy and help overthrow a powerful evil wizard. So,
Wow.
But you know, this is the thing. You know, we can say all this. There's nothing original, though.
No.
Is there? I mean, there really almost isn't. You have to go back to really find the original stuff.
Yeah,
It might be rubbish, and somebody else has to build on it. So
Yeah. If they improve on it.
it's definitely time to go now. The Spaminator's here, so Spaminator, you're alive. The good guys haven't found your lair after all. Harry Potter may have been I'm not going to say it, of the worst witch, according to some folk on the internet. Mildred
I'll say ripoff.
I saw another claim similarities to Neil Gaiman's books of magic. His character even has an owl. Not yet, Jenny. Notice you're doing the video thing now. I'll send you some World Spamination propaganda pamphlets to hold up on screen.
Well, you know, did anybody watch the Wednesday series, you know, based on the Addams family? Or Wednesday?
I gave it honestly probably not even 10 minutes before I turned it off.
Oh, I didn't like it, but I had to sit through it because my wife enjoyed it. But yeah, it's almost like a Harry Potter ripoff too. Kind of
things we do for love, right?
Yeah. I sat through a movie well, we both sat through it. It was recommended by one of our co-workers, and we're sitting watching it on Netflix, and then we just crap. The state of movies nowadays, man, they're just awful.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch an old movie, an old Western, than some new movie they have on Netflix nowadays.
Well, you don't even have to watch an old Western. Some of that, I mean, I think 3:10 to Yuma, the remake was pretty good.
Yeah.
True Grit.
Yeah.
Tombstones are great.
Horror.
Oh, Sean. 3:10 to Yuma was a good movie. It wasn't anything like the short story, but it was a good movie. And Tombstone was,
okay, but it wasn't as good, I don't think, as the original.
As the Glenn Ford one. Tombstone was so good, you know.
I haven't seen
and that was due to Kurt Russell. Like a lot of that was like true to like the details they had down pat in that movie, especially of the gunfight itself. Such a good movie.
Yeah, it is a very good, because they were like, it's weird how that happens, because there were like 2 or 3 other movies about Wyatt Earp at the same time, wasn't there?
I tried to sit through the Kevin Costner one. I had to turn it off.
Yeah.
Like honestly, you know, it was either, okay, am I going to fast forward to the gunfight or am I just going to turn it off? And finally I just said, I'm turning it off because it's not going to be any better than Tombstone. So I'm not going to watch it.
It was just so well done, wasn't it? You know, with
Costner and
Yeah.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, Val Kilmer was brilliant in that. That's the part he's going to be known for. Yeah, he'll be your Huckleberry.
It had a really kind of good cast, actually, though, didn't it? Really? 'Cause
Yeah.
It had, was it Powers Booth? Was the
Powers Booth was in there.
Yeah, yeah,
Billy Bob Thornton got his ass kicked. He was a faro dealer.
yeah. Jason Priestley from Beverly Hills 90210's in it as well, wasn't he? Yeah, blimey.
Jason Priestley, yeah. I mean, I've watched other gunfight at the OK Corral movies. Hour of the Gun, My Darling Clementine. They're not really true to the details, but they're still really good movies too, though.
Well, that's the thing. Like I was going to say, sometimes the true to details makes it really good, but then sometimes it takes away from like the saying of John Ford is, you know, like it was based on a writer, a script writer and novelist. Print the legend. You don't print the reality, you print the legend. That's what makes it interesting. And,
that was a true quote. That's an actual quote from a newspaper, man.
Well, it was
so you guys were cutting out.
It was a woman who was she wrote script. I can't remember her name now, but she and then it was used by Scott Eyman. I think it was Scott Eyman's biography of John Ford, Print the Legend.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're right. The whole gunfight scene, the way it looks into their eyes and the movement of their eyes, and you can just see when he looks at it, he's like, don't do it. You know?
Yeah. It was like 30 seconds. That gunfight.
I'd have to watch that because that could be done so badly as well.
No, it's
really well done.
It could be done as a setup.
That gunfight took 30 seconds, and that gunfight influenced if you think about it, you know, that's what influenced our pop culture from that point on. You know, that's when the gunfighter became legend, and they started being written into the dime novels, and then the early movies, and you know, that's really without that gunfight and Wyatt Earp and all that, you know, Doc Holliday, our world would be just a little different right now than it is.
Well, that's why I was saying about the Volsung, the Saga of the Volsungs. That's exactly what it is. Like this was being done, 1,000 years ago with the Norse sagas.
Well, they also say that
modern day saga
that the actual myth of the gunfighter is nothing close to what was reality.
Yeah.
It's all storytelling.
Oh, I bet it was quite panicked half the time, and you know, they didn't aim half as well as they always do in the movies, and you know, if you got shot, you were probably just really unlucky, and you know.
Well, the guy who popularized it for the dime novels his name was Buntline. He wrote the stuff is just
Buntline.
Ned Buntline. Ned
Buntline. Yeah.
Buttline or bumline?
Bunt.
It's a nautical term, but yeah, his stuff, and that's the book that I want to find. It's so badly written that it's so great. It's just it's so badly written, but it's fabulous.
Let's look this up. Let's see if I can find it.
They had dime novels before the gunfight, but then after the gunfight, that's when the gunfighting just moved into this mythological level.
Yeah.
You know,
well, 1860s
moved on from there.
Yeah, the dime novels just took off, and Ned Buntline was the big proponent of it. He actually wrote the American version of the Mysteries of New York. The Mysteries of New York as well, which I want to get and read. I got to read that one, because if he writes it like he does the other his Western dime novels, it's gonna be so atrocious and over the top that it's just fun to read.
Now, what's the novel you're looking for?
Oh, wow. He did everything. Like, there's a collection. I forget what it is, about 4 or 5 of his dime novels, earlier dime novels. But he wrote hundreds, literally hundreds and hundreds.
I do think it's pretty cool, though, that, you know, these successful gunfighters, you know, like Wyatt Earp, lived to see themselves, people portraying them in the silent films. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's
He
pretty
lived
cool.
to 1940 or something like that. I think.
I
Wyatt
think his
20s or
they say at the end of the film, one of the big Western actors, or two of them, were like pallbearers at his funeral. Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
forget their names
Tom
now.
Tom
Sean
Mix.
will know them. They were big.
Tom Mix was one of them, I
Tom
think.
Nick, yeah, was one, and then another one.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Can you imagine that living the way he lived
Harry
to
Carey
see?
might have been the other. Harry Carey Senior might have
No,
been the other.
no.
No, I could see the guy's face in my head. I can't remember his name, but Tom Mix, I think, was one of them.
Tom
And he
Mix.
consulted on the early movies, yeah, about himself,
But
But
that's
they
the
were
thing.
totally,
When the dime
totally
novels were
fictitious.
being written in the 1860s and 70s, a lot of these were they were still alive, like they were still doing their stuff, and they were being written about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have to
Bill
look it up.
Hickok was another one.
I have to look it up.
Well, Jim has a comment about Wyatt Earp. He lived to January 13th, 1929.
1929. That's it. I'm bad for dates, but yeah, he was around for a while. He didn't quite live up to his fame, though. He didn't make a lot of money from it. He was constantly searching for that for those riches, and he never really made it. Wyatt Earp. But it's his wife.
He says at the end, isn't it? Like Tom Nix wept at Earp's funeral, but I can't remember who the hell the other one was.
Oh, I can see his face. I'm bad for names too. Was it Tom Mix? There was a movie called Sunset with Bruce Willis and James Garner, where James Garner played Wyatt Earp, and Bruce Willis, I'm pretty sure, was Tom Mix. And that's a really good movie, set in about making the silent film in the 20s, and it was actually a really good movie. And it's called Sunset, if anybody's interested in that. And it tells about that story about an older Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, I can't think of the other guy's name, but this is the book that I was talking about. You probably can't see that very well.
I can't.
No.
It's called Hero of 100 Fights, Ned Buttline. It's like four or five of his dime novels, and it's usually been really cheap to get recently. And I've got this somewhere, and I don't know where it is.
I don't see it. Hero of 100 Fights, collected stories from the dime novel.
Yeah.
It's $11.99 on Kindle. Maybe not.
That's the best biography of Wyatt Earp right there, by Casey Teffer Tiller. Really good biography of Wyatt Earp, and I'm pretty sure it was Tom Mix, but I could be wrong. And I don't want to flip through it while we're waiting here, but that's a really good book.
William S. Hart.
Yeah, William S. Hart. That's what I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff. Yeah,
that's the guy. I can picture it.
Jim got it even before he did it. I was too busy looking. So yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You got it, Jim.
Yeah, my brain is. Yeah, I've got about five of his.
William S. Hart was a huge back in the day. Those two guys, Tom Mix and William S. Hart, they were huge movie stars back in the day, Western stars. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, another big one was Harry Carey Sr.
Yeah,
Harry Carey. Yeah,
I had Noah Berry on the list as well. I don't know if he did many.
Yeah,
Noah Berry. Yeah, Noah Berry Jr. was Rockford's dad in the Rockford Files.
I keep wanting to push people to read old Colts, and nobody seems to take me up on it. I mean, I know I'm not an aficionado, but I just thought it was great fun.
Old Colts.
Yeah, there's The Shootist by Glenn Swartholt. He wrote this book called Old Colts, and I just really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite ones I read because it was just great fun. It's about Bat Masterson. He's now living in New York City, and he's writing for his sports papers, but he's into a bit of gambling. He owes some money here and there. And one day his old friend Wyatt Earp turns up, right? And they spend a bit of time in New York together before they decide to head back to Dodge City, and then merriment and misadventure ensues. But it was just great fun, really, really well
This
done.
is Glendon Swarthart.
Yeah, Brendan Swatholt. Yeah.
Oh, I'd read that. That sounds good.
It was great fun. I really, really enjoyed it.
I've got a book called Dodge City by Tom Clavin, which deals
I've
with
got that as well. I was
Yeah.
talking up whether to read it. But
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I did read another one by Tom Clavin, and he's a really good writer. Tombstone, really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, what do you think about what Ollie was saying in his announcement video about the what you perceive to be like a British equivalent to Westerns? Would you agree it's these naval stories by the likes of, it's too recent, things like Patrick O'Brien, and even to some degree C.S. Forster. I mean,
I would think the equivalent would be like, have you ever seen the movie, the Rudyard Kipling movie? Now, my favorite movie, I forget. It's
Man Who Would Be King?
no, not The Man Who Would Be King. Gunga Din.
Oh, Gunga Din, yeah.
Gunga Din. That to me would be kind of the equivalent of the
What
British.
about medieval romances? Don't they have those? Like
Walter
Ivanhoe?
Scott and things, you mean? Hmm?
G.A. Henty would be closer.
Yeah, Henty was what I was thinking of, yeah. But it's kind of the boy's own, more for younger readers, though, a little bit.
I'm
But
thinking
lots of
PC,
stuff written about that. That's the thing.
I'm thinking PC Ren and AEW Mason, like those
Yeah.
stories, right?
But again, it's
Or
not
others.
like it's not a single kind of theme, is there? I mean, the naval thing, yes, I suppose there is the naval theme that runs through them. But when we look at Henty or Mason or whatever, there's one or two stories that are set in a colonial situation, but then they do other things as well. There's not like, I can't think.
I don't know if there is a real equivalent.
No, I agree with Greg. Yeah.
I mean,
there's
Sea Stories is close, and Mark, I still think a High Sea September would be a fun project.
the American Western is so ingrained in the American culture, and it's part of their identity, and you have to find something with the Brits that is ingrained into their culture like that, and I think it's tough.
Sherlock Holmes, maybe.
Well,
murder mysteries,
Maybe.
Dreadfuls, this kind of stuff. Maybe, I don't know.
yeah,
For other countries, like you could easily take South Africa, and that's the Wild West just redone there and before.
Well, Jim says it here. Australia definitely has a
Australians,
Western thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But South Africa definitely is, because it was a frontier and they were going in, and you've got North American Indians, you've got Africans. People have written actually academic papers comparing Zulu battles to American and Comanche battles. Like it's so close.
well, it's the same with the Australian outback, like Jim was saying here.
Exactly.
I've got a Zane Grey novel called Wilderness Track, and two American cowboys go to the Australian outback, and they're herding cattle across the terrain, and
Well,
they had Aborigines and all that stuff.
With the Zulu thing, I think I got the whole circling the wagons thing with the lager, and all this, I suppose, with the Boers.
Yeah, it's that is the closest, I think, of anywhere else. Like you don't even have that in Canada, because Canada's West was very different. The law went out first, and everything was okay. There wasn't lawlessness.
We
And
had the
that's what
Mounties.
you have to have the law.
Apparently, up in Canada, we had more brothels and that kind of thing, and prostitution than they had down in the States.
I
Apparently,
can believe it.
yeah,
From the couple of Canadians I know, I can well believe it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when Victor Hugo died, then they had to close up a lot of brothels because there were so many prostitutes that were having bereavements that they couldn't work. So when I left Canada, they must have just closed down.
I do wonder about like the Canadian experience. It's true because obviously you have Native Americans, you had, I suppose, also conflicts with them, but it's never the same way. But I want to go through a couple of these comments. Jim says Ned Kelly's gang were like American Outlaws. I think that's fair enough.
Well,
And that's
Aaron,
in film too.
Yeah.
Aaron proposes, although I think it's a bit too broad, but I guess I see where he's coming from. Historical fiction in general would be British equivalent to westerns, but again, I just think it's too
It's
wide.
not. It's not cohesive. It's too broad. The Western is immediately identifiable in
Yeah.
its story.
It's so focused. It's so
Mhm.
it's its own thing.
It's
know?
got icons. You know that
Yeah.
the gunfighter is just such a recognizable trope or character type, or what do you say?
Yeah. Yep. And it could be written by a Brit or you could have Italian westerns, but it's still strictly an American thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm late to the party, but I finished Les Mis during the Classic Company thingy. I've never been badly annoyed with and deeply in love with a book like that before. Congratulations, Les Mis.
Wow.
Is that Hugo's man who laughs in the picture there, or who's that?
That's Joker from
That's
The Killing
okay.
Joke.
Yeah, but that's based on The Man Who Laughs.
True, Victor. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
At least
Yeah.
from the film.
Joker is. Yeah,
The film.
but that specific icon was the Joker from Brian Alan Moore's and Brian Bowen's Killing Joke, which I'm assuming is important to the Spaminator there.
Well, he's the Joker, isn't he? A Spaminator. Joker.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll call it.
Yeah, I was about to say I gotta go in a couple minutes.
But thank you very much, everybody, for coming in and commenting and watching. We had quite a few people watching. It seems to be quite common, I suppose. A lot of people watch, but maybe doing other things and don't necessarily comment. But to those who commented, thank you. Thank you to those who watched. Thank you to my guests for coming in at short notice. And wish everybody a good weekend. And we'll probably see each other very soon indeed. So take care.
Thanks, everyone. It's been fun. Yeah.
It's been a great afternoon.
It's good to see you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.